If I were to ask you to rank 5 deadly diseases, which one would you put at the top? The top 3. Hi, my name is Mitch Haskell. I am a research scholar at Pennsylvania University. I was recently conducting a group test of 23 people in which everyone was asked to list diseases based on severity. Everyone stated cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's, and other health problems. Diabetes didn't make it to this list. That is what makes this condition even more dangerous. Diabetes is a silent killer because it increases the severity of all the diseases listed above. Also, it can make you blind. Diabetes can affect infants, toddlers, young boys and girls, adults, or elderly people. As of today, 29 million American people have type 1 or type 2 diabetes. If this figure isn't scary already, there is a huge number of people who don't know whether or not they have it. That's about 1/3 of diabetes sufferers. Some of the common health problems a diabetic person may face are nerve damage, kidney problems, heart disease, high blood pressure, eye problems, skin disorders, and these are just a few. If you have diabetes and it is left undiagnosed, one or more of these complications might occur. If you're diabetic, even non-lethal infections become lethal. If you're a diabetic and travel a lot, you're prone to infections, and your body won't be able to fight them off. Now, you must have many questions, but I'm afraid I wasn't fully honest with you earlier. I am Mitch Haskell, a 52-year-old research scholar at Pennsylvania University, and I have suffered from type 2 diabetes for 13 years. I was in my late 30s and I became overweight slowly. My friends made jokes about my weight for a few months, but I never cared. An overweight research scientist is not something totally unheard of, right? But I noticed a random drop in my energy levels. My wife suggested that I get checked out since it may have been some severe underlying condition. I went for a full checkup and my doctor dropped the bomb. I had type 2 diabetes. I was surprised because I'm a scientist myself, and it never occurred to me that I could also be so careless about my own health. I spent the next few years with doctors. I made changes to my diet and took my meds regularly. But the scientist in me could not believe that there isn't any way to eliminate this disease. After 6 long years, I took matters into my own hands. I developed my own lifestyle, diet, and exercise regimen, and invented some medicines. I am a scientist, remember? The result? I will tell you that in a few minutes. First, I want to talk to you about diabetes in detail. Diabetes has 2 types, 1 and 2. 10 to 15% of diabetic people suffer from type 1 diabetes, which is an autoimmune disease. It mostly affects children and occurs when the body's immune system starts to destroy the beta cells that are responsible for releasing insulin. Without insulin, the body has trouble absorbing glucose. The other 85% of people suffer from type 2 diabetes, in which the human body produces an inadequate amount of insulin or just can't process it. Type 2 diabetes is not an autoimmune disease. It can occur at any age and is often the result of obesity or a lack of proper physical health. It is possible to develop diabetes as the result of other medical conditions. This includes heart disease, high cholesterol, and high blood pressure. Diabetes affects people in every age group. Now, you must be thinking, if it is such a big crisis, why aren't big pharma companies trying to find a cure? Well, they can, but they won't, because an average diabetic person spends around $12,000 per year to keep his blood sugar level in control. All of us normal people suffering from diabetes are cash cows for these pharma companies. Now you understand why they don't want to find a permanent cure for this horrible condition. Diabetes is not just a lifestyle disease. It makes a person a burden on his or her family, friends, and coworkers. Do you know that you can lose your limbs because of diabetes? Yes. Diabetes can cause nerve damage that numbs your limbs, so any injury will go unnoticed and you will get infections severe enough to require amputation. Every year, about 5% of people suffering from diabetes must receive amputations. That's about 1.6 million. In 2014, 1.9 million people around the world died as a direct result of diabetes, and more than 2.5 million people died because of conditions related to high blood glucose levels. In 2015, diabetes caused more than 5 million deaths worldwide, directly or indirectly. Do you see the horrible picture now? People are reduced to numbers, and these numbers are huge and daunting. And I was one of these numbers. I began to understand that my life was in danger. It's not that these huge pharmaceutical companies don't know about this situation. In fact, they know it better than anyone. But they have all decided to do nothing about it because they are getting their money year after year. Diabetes is not impossible to cure. It's not caused by a virus. It's not caused by any bacteria. It's a condition in which the body fails to manage one element, glucose in this case. So understandably, there has to be some way to correct this condition and make our bodies do what they're supposed to do. It's obvious, right? But here we are, taking medicines and injections to control the symptoms and leaving the root cause totally unaddressed. Does it make any sense? At first, I was stumped as to why doctors are blindly following pharma companies' game and not educating patients. But as it turned out, the reason was very obvious. Companies bribe doctors to keep you in the dark and prescribe their medicines. What's even worse is that companies compete with each other to make big hospitals and doctors prescribe their medicines and not their competitors. So this situation may be profitable for doctors and pharma companies. It's people like you and me, at the end of the day, who are paying the price. I don't know about you, but I wasn't going to let those prick pharma companies and doctors make me their cash cow. No, never. I spent 42 months traveling, researching and experimenting with various herbs, yoga techniques, and special diets to reverse my diabetes. And I did not just stop at myself. I shared my knowledge and findings with my close friends and family members suffering from this horrible disease. These people helped me in my research. One person cannot have all symptoms, so they told me about their complications and tried many things with me. They were like my beta testers, so they had earned early access to my success. 51 people tested my system, and they were free from $12,000 per year expenses in the form of medicines, treatments, and tests. Free from painful needles. Free from being a burden on family and friends. Free from special diets. Free from an uncertain future. If you're a diabetic, you can damn well understand what all this means. It's the freedom that a diabetic craves, and now you can grab it if you really want it. Allow me to introduce you to Diabetes Terminator, a sure-shot system that not only controls your diabetes, but reverses it. Diabetes Terminator is not a one-directional course, but instead educates you about the symptoms of diabetes, as well as its effects and risks. Diabetes Terminator gives you the means to reverse your diabetes, whether you're young, old, male, or female. You can also treat baby's diabetes. It basically restarts your pancreas. Stay with me for the next 10 minutes, and I will give you 3 tips to control your blood sugar level instantly, right here. You see, we diabetic people have to let go of our cravings for our favorite foods, be it ice cream or dessert or a beverage. I know that feeling. So whether or not you decide to purchase my Diabetes Terminator, I want to give you 3 free tips that I developed to control my blood sugar level on the go. You'll find these tips at the end of this video. I am proud of my diabetes terminator system. I mean, I've suffered from this horrible disease for a decade, and I know that all that self-control, forgetting favorite foods, and poking needles just hides symptoms. They don't even try to treat the cause of these symptoms, yet we spend over $12,000 per year on them. So when I say that my system works, it means that it works for everyone, regardless of their age. You have had this disease for decades. No problem. I have you covered. Your blood sugar level is sky high. No problem. You're welcome. But don't just take my word for it. Remember, I told you about 51 people who successfully reversed their diabetes with Diabetes Terminator. Let's hear from some of them.
Mitch, how are you, my son? I heard you launched your diabetes terminator system to everyone, so I'm making this video to let everyone know how great it is. I was struggling with diabetes for over 10 years, and my blood sugar level was manageable at best, and I couldn't eat anything worth eating. My family was forced to look after me all the time because of my age, and the diabetes was making me prone to other diseases. It was scary. I hate medicine, I hate tasteless food, and I hate needles. You remember Becca from our group? She was the one who told me about your system, and I got to tell you, it worked for me. Things were slow at first because of people my age. It took me almost 3 months to reach there, but I'm free from diabetes. Now I'm far from medicines, and I eat what I want and no needles. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you very much.
Hey, Mitch. I had an appointment with my doctor yesterday, and he said that I do not need medication anymore. So I'm stopping it. No more restrictions, no more tensions about other health issues, and so on and so on. So, just 3 months ago when I started using your system, I was not so sure. I mean, I had confidence in you, but I had suffered so much because of this horrible disease over, 13 years, that I had started doubting everything. Your diabetes terminator helped me a lot. I cannot believe that I am finally free and I do not need a special diet anymore. So, thank you so much.
Hi guys, my name's Matthew. Now, I've known Mitch for 10 years or so, and I've seen him personally working on Diabetes Terminator. Now I'm 48 and I had been suffering from diabetes for over 20 years. I'd spent a small fortune on medicines, and I'd lost count of the number of doctors I saw over the years. Every single one of them gave me the same advice. It was like, leave this food, forget this, do this exercise, do that. And if there was anything ever different about their advice, it would be the brand of medicines that they would prescribe to me. And I think those were the ones that paid them well. I was frustrated and angry because my misery was just a chance to make money for these greedy people. I don't think they ever really cared about me. Never gave me any hope of getting rid of this disease. So when Mitch told me that he'd perfected his system, and it could reverse diabetes, I just literally begged him to let me use it. And I still remember it like it was yesterday. I took a test for the record and my blood sugar was 247. After 2 months, I could eat a normal tasty diet. I was just free from taking insulin. I just couldn't believe I was living a normal, healthy life without having to go to heaven. Well, I owe this whole new life of mine to Mitch and his diabetes terminator.
Mitch, you big inventor, how are you, dear? So I decided to make this short thank you video, and yeah, I heard that you're launching Diabetes Terminator to the public. This will honestly change the course of public health forever. We won't just be curing people, but you'll also be opening everyone's eyes that we can defeat diabetes. It's not something incurable, it's something that can be cured. And your pancreas is not as stubborn as these medicine companies want us to believe. It can be defeated, and diabetic people can live a normal life again. Well, you know that I was born diabetic, So I never knew what life was without diabetes and without any medicine. So for me to live a life where I could eat anything without worrying about my glucose levels was nothing short of a dream. Insulin shots were my life. I was told that this is how my life would be for like my entire life. Today, I can happily say that I have defeated diabetes and I've kicked the butt of insulin shots. It's been over a year since I took any medicine, so thank you so much, Mitch. God bless you.
Hi Mitch, how you doing, buddy? Hey, I just wanted to thank you for helping me in getting my life back together. I remember when we first met and you told me about your theories and research. I could see the science behind your theories. I knew you'd solve this mystery for me that the pharmaceutical companies just couldn't. And I've controlled my diabetes in 3 weeks, and I just can't thank you enough for this. I'm really overwhelmed that you're launching the system to the public. It is very kind of you. Usually people hold, such wealth of knowledge to themselves, but it takes a good and kind heart to give such amazing information to everyone for a nominal price. I had wasted over $65,000 over the years on my treatment, but all it did was control and hide my symptoms for a very short period of time. But today, I don't need insulin injections anymore. Am I lucky? Well, yeah, you bet I am, because I came to know you and got early access to your diabetes termination system.
As you know, I am a research scientist and I couldn't remain helpless. I couldn't just take the medicines those doctors prescribed. I was feeling nauseous all the time, no energy at all. So you can say that diabetes was destroying my health and my finances at the same time. But it was even worse for me. It's not a secret that scientists are careless about their own stuff, and my carelessness almost cost me my leg. I won't drag you through the gory, disgusting details and scare you even more. But it got me scared as a rat. And I decided it was time I stopped hoping that my doctor would work some miracle on me. As I explained to you earlier, top pharma companies bribe most doctors to prescribe their particular medicines. In fact, they almost bid on the most popular doctors for huge ROI. My research shows that these companies make approximately $300 billion per year, and it's foolish to expect them to find a solution for a problem that's making them billions. So I embarked on my journey. I researched it extensively. I can't remember how many nights I slept on my chair, trying to find a ray of hope. But finally, after 2 years of work, I found something. It's a rare biological occurrence that gave me the idea to change my life and those of many other diabetic patients. You see, when for some reason our stomach doesn't produce gastric juices in high enough quantities, the small intestine takes on the responsibility of digesting food. In this rare case, the small intestine produces a molecule called GLUT1, which consumes the glucose in the food. So, I thought, what if I can find a way to produce this molecule normally in my body? It will consume the extra glucose and solve my problem. I almost jumped from my chair when this idea occurred to me. It also got me thinking about why our bodies aren't protecting themselves by creating this molecule on their own. I mean, our body creates antibodies to fight infection. So why not create this molecule and cure itself? I did more tests and found that our bodies produce this molecule when we're in the fetus stage of our lives. During that time, the stomach doesn't produce gastric juice. So, the intestine produces this molecule to consume glucose we get from mothers' bodies. Once the fetus comes into this world, the body doesn't need that ability and simply forgets it. Well, I was as happy as a fish in water because I had a solution, but I was still far from a cure. Now, the $300 billion question was, how can I make my body create this GLUT1 again? There wasn't any artificial way to do it, and this molecule can't be synthesized, so I turned to nature. I traveled to India and Nepal to learn special yoga techniques. Yoga lets us control our bodies and provides access to amazing capabilities. I spent 8 months in the foothills of the Himalayas with yogis and mastered the technique. It was time to return home. Now my body was using the glucose and my blood sugar level was stable. I spent a few months creating my own schedule to speed up the recovery process and eliminate the effects of high blood sugar levels on the body. After spending over 13 years, I had done it. I had cracked the code. My blood sugar level was normal. I was not afraid of losing one of my limbs. I was not a burden on my family and friends, co-workers and supervisors. But the scientist in me could not leave things there. I had to take this to the public. Every diabetic person on this planet needs to know about this. They deserve it. Nobody deserves to be trapped in the vicious cycle of diabetes with bribed doctors and prick pharmaceutical companies. I took my research and went to my boss and a few senior scientists whom I trust. I knew these guys for decades. I started my career with some of them. So I was surprised when I was stonewalled at every step. I was told that I was seeing things that were just not there, and that my mind was convincing me to believe in what I wanted to believe. After all, I was a diabetic myself, and I wanted to find a cure for personal reasons. I lost my enthusiasm, and, to be honest, I began to suspect my findings. On that depressing weekend, I was sitting at a bar and drinking alone. My senior, Glenn, came by to drop off classifications for an urgent screening test the next day. We were sitting there and talking about stuff. He could clearly see that I was depressed, and I guess my miserable condition made him open up. He explained it all to me. He told me that there was nothing wrong with my findings and my data, but our boss was getting pressure from the top floor to squash my plans. Pharmaceutical companies make $300 billion out of this diabetes business, and they were not going to let it all go. So was it my boss? Was he the guy who did not want diabetic people like me to become normal? No, our boss is actually saving your ass, Glenn said. It seems my boss had convinced the top floor, top management, that I wouldn't fall out of line, and then this would be contained. He literally saved my career. I was stunned. I was shocked. I was confused. But it made sense. Diabetic people are cash cows for these companies. Diabetic people are sources of their convertibles, private jets, custom suits, and fancy office buildings. Who will give up all this, even if it means making millions of people miserable? So, I should just give up? Let my years of research and hard work go to the gutter and hide a simple sure-shot cure for millions of people living a miserable life? I asked. You can't do it publicly unless one of those big companies decides to back you for this, which isn't going to happen, Glenn replied. So because I couldn't go through an established channel, I decided to go solo. The 21st century is more democratic than ever, and you can crowdfund everything. So I decided to take my system to the public on my own. There are millions of diabetic people around, and we can help each other by joining hands. So, I am counting on you guys. As an ex-diabetic, I know how much you guys want to get rid of this curse. I'm counting on the fact that once hundreds of thousands of people join me on this page, pharma companies won't be able to stop it. They will have to act. They will have to acknowledge that diabetes can be reversed. I am counting on this snowball effect. I created a simple, easy-to-follow system that can reverse the effects of high blood sugar in the body and jumpstart our pancreas. But I had to test my system first. So I turned to my support group, my 51 friends who helped me during my research, who gave me tips on how to handle my day-to-day life. These were the guys who told me stuff that no doctor had told me. They were my obvious choice. And they were very excited to try this because they were obviously dying to get rid of diabetes and its effects. They could trust me. They knew me. They had seen me working year after year on developing this cure, and they trusted me with their lives. I gave them my special formula. I told them the exercises to do and what exactly to eat. And the result? You must be asking. All 51 people got rid of diabetes. 11 people stopped taking their meds within 3 months. 23 people stopped their meds within 90 days. 10 people stopped their meds within 40 days. 5 people were cured within 25 days. And 2 people reversed their diabetes in just 13 days. But I must state it here for your own safety that you should stop your medicines only after getting tested multiple times and confirming with your doctor. I know the pain and the excitement, but I don't want you to take even the slightest risk that can hurt you. So please, make sure you don't stop your medicines on your own. Diabetes Terminator is backed by decades of research and exploration into alternative medicines. But you have to be 101% sure you're cured before you stop your medicines. Remember, it's your life we're talking about. You guys spent over $12,000 year after year just to control your symptoms. So my system may seem priced at a very, very low cost. But remember, I am not in this for money. My aim is to start a snowball effect so that pharma companies will stop pretending and fooling people into thinking that diabetes isn't curable. I am so confident in your success that I'm offering a 30-day money-back guarantee. No one will ask you any questions or demand any proof. So what more do you need? There isn't anything to lose. There is nothing to be scared of. Diabetes Terminator is a complete solution. You will get special diet tips and recipes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But that's inside the system. I'm going to give you a neat snacking secret. Along with eating healthy meals, you will also need a snack. Again, you don't want to make unhealthy choices, so here are a few ideas to help you out. Each of these snack ideas contains less than 5 grams of carbohydrates. 3 celery sticks and a tablespoon of peanut butter. 1 hard-boiled egg. 1 piece of string cheese. 8 green olives. 15 almonds. 5 baby carrots. 1/4 cup of fresh blueberries. 1 cup of cucumber slices and a tablespoon of ranch dressing. Pay attention to portion sizes when you prepare a meal or grab a snack. If you have trouble eyeballing your portions, purchase a small kitchen scale or use measuring cups. You will find more about diet and tasty recipes inside the system. But it's fair to say that you should not change your diet overnight. Basically, you need to be prepared if you want to eat healthily. When I first started changing my diet, I cleaned out my cupboards. I got rid of all the junk food I wanted to remove from my diet. Then, I made a list of ingredients I would need to start my new diet. Don't expect results overnight. Everyone has different genetics, so I can't predict exactly when you will be 100% free from diabetes. You will have to keep yourself together and follow the system. Remember, this system was created by a person who fought diabetes himself for decades. But that doesn't mean you have to be my age to benefit from the Diabetes Terminator. I took input from my beta tester group. Those 51 people of every age, gender, and culture. That's the reason you will find specific instructions for infants, teens, adults, and senior people in this system. You just have to follow this system as closely as possible. And in the meantime, keep taking your meds to avoid any unwanted situation. So who needs Diabetes Terminator? Anyone who is suffering from type 1 diabetes. Anyone who is suffering from type 2 diabetes. Anyone who is feeling a sudden loss of energy. Anyone who is experiencing an unexplained loss of sight and who is feeling uneasy all the time. Anyone who has someone in his or her family or a close friend who is a diabetic. It's the cheapest gift you can give them, and they will owe their life to you. Anyone who wants to learn about this disease so that they can recognize the early symptoms in themselves or in family members and stop it before the condition worsens. The last group is very important because knowledge is power and it can save you from one or more of these horrible conditions. Nerve damage, kidney problems, heart disease, high blood pressure, eye problems, skin disorders. It's a very small price to pay to save yourself and your family from diabetes. Diabetes Terminator will save you. That's a promise. Remember, my name is Mitch Haskell, and as a research scholar, I want everyone to benefit from my work. Stop being a victim of bribed doctors and pharma companies. Stop sacrificing your favorite food. Stop being a burden on everyone around you. Start living your life. It's not impossible. It's not even costly. Diabetes Terminator is the most affordable way to fight this disease. It comes with a 30-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. So, you're out of excuses now. Hit the button below and order your copy of Diabetes Terminator.